and welcome to Simplilearn's program on Big Data, Hadoop and Spark Developer. Understanding on the important concepts, components and the hands-on on top of Big Data and Hadoop. So in this module, we will be discussing about the course introduction. That means we'll be having a brief overview of how the course is structured and what all components we are going to learn as a part of our journey. So first of all, starting with Simplilearn, we know that for over a decade, Simplilearn has focused on digital economy skills in training the workforce on multiple technologies for almost a decade now by using multiple online boot camps. So Simplilearn has been providing live virtual classes that we've known as LVCs. Then we have self-paced learning content that you can learn at your own pace without having any kind of live instructor-led sessions. There are multiple interactive labs to perform the hands-on, and you have multiple case studies to implement those on those interactive labs. So Big Data is an open source software framework for storing the data and executing the applications on the commodity hardware clusters. So Big Data is an essential component in making sure that we are able to process large amount of data, and that too as efficiently as possible, so that we can reduce the time required for analysis of that data and we can get the best possible outcome and most accurate possible in a given timeline. So this is what Big Data is all about. So first of all, Big Data has multiple career opportunities, because again right now all the companies, they are sitting on humongous amount of data and they are generating data at an exponential manner, especially the retail, banking, pharmaceutical, aviation, IoT and the internet-based services. So they have been generating data in a humongous manner, and that needs to make sure that we are able to have that kind of workforce which can process and analyze that data, so it has a better career scope and we can work with any data at any time and on any device, so that we can get a complete understanding of the same, and it makes the entire process of handling data much easier, and it has exponential growth of data. That's why there is so much of demand for big data engineers, which governs high salaries. And Spark is basically an open source cluster computing framework that we use for real-time data processing. So basically it contains different components, like we have Python, Java, Scala, machine learning libraries, R, GraphX, streaming and SQL based components. Now why we use Spark? Because more than 91% of companies, they use Apache Spark because of the performance advantages we can get. So it has a huge demand, it can be easily integrated with Hadoop. It is as per the global standards, and it has a better support from the community members. And MapReduce is, although it has been used as a core, but now it has been slowly fading away, and Spark and PySpark, they are taking over. And the demand of big data is huge, because again here we have globally recognized certificate offered by Simplilearn, and it allows you to get into the field of big data and making sure you're able to amplify your career opportunities. So the demand of big data is increasing in various data science fields. In future, it is expected that this demand will continue to grow significantly. So in 2017, it was somewhere around $32 billion, which has been increased to $77 million right now, and till 2027 it will cross $100 billion in total market value. And there are multiple companies who have been hiring on big data, like Amazon, HP, Facebook, PayPal, Oracle, Microsoft. So there have been endless opportunities by almost all Fortune 500 companies, and even the small scale companies who are setting them up as a data analysis firm, they are also using them extensively. If we talk about the career roles, then we can work as data engineers when we complete our knowledge and certification on big data components. We can get ourselves hired as an Apache Spark application developer, a Spark developer, Hadoop or Spark developer, or we can get ourselves hired as big data developer, where our main focus will be to integrate different technologies and develop the best possible and streamlined solutions for analyzing big data components. So there are certain prerequisites for this. So we need to have a basic understanding of how we can work with Java, because majority of the technologies for big data, they are all written in Java. So until unless we are familiar with how Java is structured, what are the different, we can say, data types available, how we can work with functions, with the file operations, how we can work with packages. So until as we have an understanding of Java, it will be difficult for you all to understand the code for different components. So that's why it is required. And since we will be working on processing different types of data, so having the SQL language, which is a structured query language, which is used for processing and finding the information from large collection of tables in the structured format. So having these two knowledge is, we can say, mandatory for working in big data components. And there are multiple program features, like we have self-paced learning content, we have the LBCs, and we do offer hands-on exercises that you can use as a complete blended program experience. And here we'll be discussing first of all on the theoretical concepts of each and every module, so that we can have a complete understanding, okay, what exactly it is. Then we'll be seeing the hands-on on top of it, so that we can see how we can implement the same, so that you can replicate it in your own hands-on lab that you're going to get. And then this is entirely focused on different profiles. That means those who are in the college, those who are trying to get into the field of big data, those who are already working in different domains in terms of, let's say, they are working as a developer, as a BI analyst, and this is also suitable for data engineers, those who are already familiar with how we can work with data and now they want to take their knowledge further. So the entire learning path has been structured that first of all we will be discussing on big data and Hadoop components. Then we'll be talking about the HDFS, which is Hadoop Data File System, as the main storage layer. Then we will be talking about the distributed processing, which is going to involve MapReduce framework. And then we will be talking about MapReduce, Apache Hive, the pig and data, the pig which is used as a main of the data analysis tool. And then we'll be talking about HBase, which is a NoSQL semi-structured database. And then we have data ingestion techniques discussion into the big data components by using ETL. And then we'll be talking about Yarn, as in yet another resource manager component. After this, we'll be talking about the big data and the need for Spark, the introduction to Python for Apache Spark, the functions, OOPs, and modules that we can create in Python. Then we are going to deep dive into Apache Spark framework, and then we are going to work with Spark RDDs, then followed by Spark SQL and the data frame that we have to create. And then we'll be working on the machine learning using the Spark machine learning module, stream processing frameworks, and Spark streaming. So Spark structured streaming component as a part of handling the streaming, or you can say continuous data sources. And then we'll be talking about Spark graphics. Then moving on to course components, you'll be getting the ebooks, which are going to be a downloadable entity that you can use as a reference. You'll be getting multiple assisted practices where the list of all these steps are going to be mentioned that you can use as a reference. You'll be getting assessments to evaluate your knowledge on the given module, and then you have to implement the projects, which is going to be a lesson end and a course end projects, so that you can have a complete understanding of how to bind and implement different components together. So by the end of this entire module, you will be able to create an interaction between users and Hadoop distributed file system using Hive. You'll be able to create an internal and external Hive table structure to read data from different formats. You will be able to execute batch jobs using MapReduce frameworks. You'll be able to work with real-time streaming data pipelines and applications using Kafka. And we'll be able to create Spark applications using Spark 3.x clusters and the client mode. You'll be able to determine the components of Spark machine learning and graphics. You'll be able to create and execute a real-time pipeline using Spark streaming and structured streaming, and you'll be able to analyze the appropriate tools based on the data trends. So let's get started.